Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle DeTeach, or Coach Danny D, and I help women to create luxury brands by creating processes and tightening their branding. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease and enjoy your life. My happy space is spending as much time as humanly possible in my pajamas, and I want to help others to find their happy space while still running profitable businesses. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello and welcome to episode 6. And today's topic is going to be letting your branding work for you. We have a guest today. We have Kaela Lewis, and I'm going to introduce you to her in 1 second. I'm Coach Danny D, and I am the owner of Workflow, where I help small businesses play big. The Profits in Pajamas podcast is all about profiting with ease. So I love to be in my pajamas, as you can see if you're watching this, as opposed to listening to the audio. And I love the concept of being able to have your business and do it with ease without having to feel bogged down under your business. So I was so excited to have Kaela come on. I have known her for a very long time. We could say we grew up together, but I've been enjoying watching her in her journey as a communication strategist, in our adult life. Like, she is the branding bestie. And I, was just very excited to find an opportunity for us to do something together and collaborate. So she's a communication specialist with over 16 years experience in PR, branding, and marketing. And I know she don't look like she could have 16 years of experience. If you're watching, you can see that the skin is not giving the age away. And she's passionate about honing in on her client's true voice and through brand identity, consistency throughout their communications platform. So Kaela, welcome.
Hey, Coach Danny D. Thank you for that warm welcome. I'm excited to be here. I love a great theme. So when you said the podcast, I automatically loved it because it was Profits in Pajamas. So I'm here too. If you can see, I'm in my pajamas as well. So, I love it. So I am ready and excited to start talking tonight.
All right. I am so excited to have you here. So first, I just want to open up with you telling us a little bit about your story and becoming the branding bestie. Like, how did you get there? What was the thing that brought you into entrepreneurship? I always love knowing people's journey.
Coach Danny D. So, you know what? I've always had the entrepreneur bug, but I always worked full time. And so imagine wanting to do something, but you hadn't done it. And it really, my entrepreneurship started something out of a joke. And when I say that, I'm an LSU alum. And so about 2 years ago, LSU was having this amazing run for the national championship. And if you're from New Orleans like me, their whole theme was centered around the local New Orleans song, Get the Gat. And growing up in New Orleans, I was super excited about hearing it. It was great. And you know what I said? One day when that promotion came out on social media, I said, this is what I want to do. I found my dream job. I want to work for LSU football team, working on their social media, their digital media, because if this is what it's like, this is for me. And on that post, which started off as a joke, right? And I was living in another state. People started pouring in on my feed like, this is you. You do this. You got this. You are a communications person. You've always been doing this. And then I had DMs. There's a job opening at the SEC. You should apply. There's this opening here, there. And then I had the DMs that said, my boss is looking for a new social media marketing person, a new branding person. Send me what you've done for the past few agencies that you work for, and I'm going to pitch you. And literally, that's how it started. It started off as a feel good joke. I love this field. This is where I think my dream job is, to having 3 clients out the gate. So it really jumped off real quickly. But it took that experience that I had to move it, to keep it going.
So that is so beautiful to me. One, because, I accidentally got into entrepreneurship as well. So that that in and of itself is just hilarious to me. But two, it speaks to what having a great circle is about. It speaks to, community and people pouring into you, because sometimes people see something for you that you don't see for yourself. And, just like you said that as a joke, but the community, one, you put it in the universe,
I did.
which makes stuff real. I mean, I know a lot of people don't believe that, but try it. Put something that you really want, that you think is crazy, into the universe, and see how quickly that crazy off the wall thing becomes a reality. But two, just to have people say, but yeah, you should, you really should. So I'm glad that you listened.
You know what? Absolutely. Because you're right. I'm one who believes in vision boards and manifestation and prayer, but I wasn't even thinking about that for myself. Like at that moment, it literally was a joke. It was like, man, this is amazing. I cannot believe this is their social media campaign. This is too hype. Like it just felt good. It had great energy. It embodied things that I thought that I am. And I was like, you know what? I could do this. If this is what work could feel like, this is what I wanted to feel like. And it was born.
And that is beautiful too, because I think that we're sold this bag of goods almost, that work has to look a certain way, business has to look a certain way, it has to feel a certain way. And that's one of the big things that I'm trying to get people to see. It can look however you want it to look. It can be fun. It can be something that you enjoy doing. That's not just like a cliche or a thing that people say. It's like, you just have to, be willing to go after that thing and carve out that thing that really sings to you.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So one thing I want to touch on, with your story that I thought was so interesting, when we were speaking before this, you were talking about how you had to make a shift in how you initially were running your business, and how that shift turned everything around as far as your stress as a business owner, your work-life balance. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So, when I first started, because I wasn't doing it many years, I had the experience, I knew what to do. But when I first was starting out trying to get clients, I started off with saying, we're going to do this for a 3-month commitment, right? Because if you're going to join, we're going to do it for 3 months at a time. Now, what that did for me, right, that was very, very stressful, because I was thinking about this. How do I keep my clients happy? I know they're going to be happy in 3 months, but at the 4-month mark, is it time for them to leave? Do I have to keep finding new clients at a 3-month mark to keep them on board? And that was really no way to grow or scale my business. And I started working with a business mentor. And one of the things that we actually talked about is, why does it have to look like this? Does it have to look like this? So from there, I decided that we're going to do a year. Anyone who is working with me in branding and marketing for true change, it's at least a year commitment. But I did that not just because of the stress for me, but it also shows turnaround, because when you are working on your business, when you are building a brand, that doesn't happen overnight. I know you see those people on social media, whether it's Instagram or YouTube, and the numbers are going up, and some of that, they pay for that, right? But true organic growth takes time.
Yes.
So part of that was a shift in mindset of having my clients trust me, because yes, you're going to be happy in 3 months, but you're going to really see that growth in a year, because we can do some benchmarks. So yes, that was a pivot for me, because it was, it gave me the amount of time to not be as stressed. It gave me time to be more with my family, but it also was a great thing for my clients, because we can build on that. So if you're working with me, we're going to work for that year and make these milestones to grow your brand. And it's going to be authentic, and you're going to know it's not going to happen overnight.
And, what I'm hearing with that is that it was great for you and for your client. And I think a lot of times when we're ready to make a shift, we get so worried about, when we know the shift is going to benefit us, we get so worried about what that means for the client. But in most cases, what's best for us is also best for our client. Like you said, with business, 3 months is nothing. 3 months is, how long it takes just for people to realize that you're on the scene, so.
Yeah. And when you're new starting out, you think that 3 months buys you something, right? You're like, oh, I get it. But that 3 months comes so quick, and you're sitting here trying to justify, but see, you had this amount of growth, and you have X amount of this. And as you kind of see, you turned around and had these sales. It was just too stressful, because 3 months is a blink of an eye.
It really is. Like when you're the business owner and you're starting something or you're building something, as the business owner, I feel like that 3 months feels like 3 years. But when you're the consumer, on the outside, that 3 months is like 30 seconds.
Preach. It does. Because they just figuring out who you are.
Right. They're like, oh, wait, isn't that lady that does that thing? And you're like, what you mean that lady that does that? I've been doing this for 400 years now.
You're right. They're like, and it takes consistency, right? So like, even for them to even remember you have to start being consistent and showing up daily. So yeah, they might notice you in 3 months, but that's because you were consistent.
Right.
In 3 months, and consistent, whatever that consistency looks for you. Like I try to tell my clients, I'm not saying that you have to start off posting 5 days a week. I'm saying you need a consistent thing. And when you can post, that people start to look up for you, because what happens is people start expecting your content.
Right.
And when you're not there, they think you're flaky. So whether that's showing up 1 day a week, showing up 2 days a week, showing up 7 days a week, whatever that looks like, inconsistency, that's what it needs to feel like.
Yeah. And that is like an amazing gem that you just dropped right there, is that consistency piece, because like you said, when you're not consistent, then people think that you're flaky, because there's so many voices out there right now. And so, and people see people pop up, some people have pop-up shop brands, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mean like a pop-up shop that you go to. I mean, like, today you was doing this, and then tomorrow it's like, wait, what? What's she what is she doing? Yesterday she was selling it, not today. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know what to think. That's what the consumer is. They're confused and they don't know how to process that.
They really don't, because they're looking to you. When you're defining your audience, they're looking to you to tell them what you're doing. And so sometimes you also have to give yourself some time to grow, right?
Right.
So it's not just even in that, you got to give yourself some time, because like you said, that's a blink. 3 months is a blink.
It is a blink. It really is a blink. But I know, just from being in the trenches and just from working with other entrepreneurs, it's like, they're like, oh my God, I did this and it's not working. And I'm like, how do you know it's not working? You did this for all of 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Like, how, what are you basing this off of? Like,
absolutely.
You don't even have a baseline yet. Like, if you haven't made it through 3 months, you don't even have 3 months of consistency, because we're going to stick with that word, consistency.
Yes. But
if you don't have that, you don't even have a baseline.
You don't. But you know what else it is? We get so enamored with what we see on social media as success. And so that becomes a problem. So you might see somebody blow up, or you think that they blew up, but you don't know how long that they've been working. You don't know what their story is behind. And sometimes people can be selling you things that just aren't true, right? So
That
you
part.
so you I mean, so you have got to build. Not everybody is going to have that Cinderella story right away, and that's okay. And for those who have it, that's great. But most times it takes some hard work. It
Right.
takes, you got to put some sweat equity into your brand, and
Oh
you
my
have to
God, you're the second person to say sweat equity to me today.
you do you got to show up and show out every day, and work it. One of the things I was telling you earlier was that you are your brand. And I think most times people don't realize what they think their brand is: a logo. Like, your brand is not your logo.
Lord Jesus, say it again for the people that didn't have the volume turned up. Turn up the volume so you can hear her.
Your brand is not your logo. You are your brand. What you're representing, what you're bringing across all of your platforms, in person, in the digital sphere, every time you touch a customer point, how you behave, that's your brand. And
Yes.
that becomes your digital reputation. So
Yes.
don't think of it as my branding, right, is my logo and my colors and my cute tagline, right? I mean, you
Right.
can have those things, but that doesn't necessarily make your brand.
That not at all. Not at all. It's not, earlier today we were talking about the idea of, foundation. Your messaging is that foundation of your brand, how you are presenting. What are you talking about?
Mhm.
What's the transformation that you're providing to people? All of that is a part of your brand, and that's the core of it. And all of these other things are just accessories
Yes.
that go along with it, that complement it. But if you don't have that core, then what are you doing?
And then most times you have to, just like, if you're building your brand, just like in business, you have to niche down. You have to identify who your target audience is. That's really important, because you can't be everything for everybody, and you can't serve in every space. So looking internally and figuring out who your brand is for is really, really key. And that's going to help you become successful.
And what I find so interesting is that so many people, as much as the word branding is overused and thrown out there, if you ask the average entrepreneur who their target audience is, who they're serving, they can't answer that question. And that, if you don't know that, then all of your branding is for naught. Like,
You're preach, tell
your
them again.
branding is built off of that. Everything comes up from there. So that's the work that everybody wants to avoid, because everybody wants to say, well, I serve everybody. If you serve everybody, you serve nobody.
Oh, I was gonna say it. You can't. That's the one thing I say. Who is your target market? But you know what? One of the things I also want to share, it's okay for your brand to shift and grow. And I use
Correct.
myself as an example. When I first started out, my brand was specifically, I was discovering it. So it was literally, if you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur just starting out. But for me, I've started to morph into more corporate clients, and my branding has shifted towards that. Do I still have clients that are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs? Yes, absolutely. But as my brand decided to grow and mature, so did the branding collateral. So did the website, so did the logo, so did those things. But it all came off of where the vision was going. Who's my target audience? Where am I trying to serve?
Correct. And I totally agree with you, because you can shift. And I did the same thing. I started out, I was, doing parties for moms. And now, it's mostly, for corporate clients. We still do events, private events, but they have there's a different clientele, and everything shifted along with that. And so that is so true. But you have to know that answer.
You do.
If you don't know that answer, if you're listening to this right now and you don't know that answer, then I'm going to need you to take a moment and really start to think about that, because that is the key. And, just bringing it back to the overall topic, that's the difference maker of being able to have your branding work for you. Because if you know who your person is and your branding speaks to that person, your branding is reeling them in.
It is.
It's reeling them in. You somewhere sitting on the beach or sitting, in your comfy chair in your pajamas, and your branding is reeling them in. And you're not having to do anything because that branding has already spoke to them.
Yeah, because once you hit on your target audience, you're only talking to them. It's the difference between somebody asking you, well, I'm not sure if I can make the payment, and somebody saying sent, next steps.
Yes.
It's the total.
It's a whole different beast. Like I'll give an example. I've had people who I've never met before that come into my, circle, want to do business. And I've been on either a site visit or just over email with a new client. I'm so excited to work with you. I've never talked to this person before. Like you literally filled out a form.
But they can feel the energy.
But they have already been nurtured through that branding.
Absolutely.
And that has brought them in. And they're just like, we best friends. And I'm like, hey girl, let's plan a party.
And that's what you want, because that means that you are being consistent across all of your messaging platforms. That means when you send out those automated emails, because Danielle loves automation. So when she sends out those automation emails, they still feel like her. That means when you see her on social media, it still shows up as her. When she's sending those text messages, it feels like her. So you know what happens? By the time they actually meet you in person, they feel like they know you. And that's what you want. You want to be that person that they already know, because then it's easier to have conversions. It's easy for repeat business. It's easy for referrals. It makes your business grow when you show up as the same person that you promised them in all of your materials.
Especially when they feel like that's the person for them. Like when you have that moment, like I love, and I mean, part of it is just that I'm a geek about this type of stuff, but just part of it is just sometimes a brand gets it totally right. But like when you have that moment and you read somebody's like marketing materials and you're like, shut the front door. How do you know? I'm like, looking around, are there cameras in the house? How did you know that about me? And that's, I love when somebody hits it that well, that you're just like, wow. But that's the goal. You know what I'm saying? That's the goal you're seeking.
That's definitely the goal. But you start with understanding and knowing that you are the billboard. You are the brand. You are the one first, and the other stuff you may not need it right away, but you do need.
Right.
But you are the face. Right. And I think people tend to forget that.
Yeah. And when we were talking earlier, we were talking, the analogy that we were talking about was getting, I love an analogy. The analogy was getting dressed. So, let's say, we're both from New Orleans. Let's say you're getting ready for the Zulu ball and you got your dress, you got your, makeup, you got your earrings, you got everything going on. And we all seen this lady come out the house. But you didn't put that Spanx on. You didn't put that foundational piece on. And you went through all that trouble, spent all that money, and you out here looking a little sloppy because you don't have that foundation. And so that's where that messaging starts, as the foundation, and you can dress it up from there. And I mean, you can make it gorgeous from there. But you gotta start with the foundation.
part of our earlier conversation, I was telling Danielle, I had just did a post that said to be bold. That was a post that I did yesterday. And part of it was about thoughts that people may have that I get questions about. What if my colors aren't professional enough? What is professional enough, right? Because what I was telling Danielle, and she touched upon it in my introduction, is that you have to be authentically yourself. So however that is for you, you have to show up like that. And if you don't show up like that, then people can tell. So if your colors, they're your colors. You want you, but if someone else said they're not professional enough, maybe it's not professional for them, but they're professional for you.
Right. And then also is who's your audience, because there's a lot of times that I might see a flyer or an ad or this or that. And my husband laughs at me all the time because I'll start to say something and then I catch myself and I say, I'm not their target audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because sometimes it's not a matter of that something was wrong with it. It just doesn't speak to me, but I wasn't who they were talking to.
Absolutely. So and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay. Somebody may see your colors, I might see your colors and be like, oh God, like that's a lot, because I'm a less is more sort of girl. So I might be like, whoa, that's a whole lot going on. But the person that's called to you, they might be like, man, that is so catchy. That is so, because there are people that will look at my stuff and say, oh, you need to punch it up. And I'm like, I don't want to.
But you know what? You're right. Like they also give you feeling, right? Danielle mentioned, I'm the branding bestie. So having a pink flirty color, even though it's a bolder hot pink, works for my aesthetic and it works with my brand, right? Because it's also playful but professional for me. Right. So when you show up and I'm giving you feedback on your brand, on your socials, it's done from a place of love, as if I would give it to a friend, as it goes with the messaging. So that's kind of what you have to realize. What does your brand say about you?
Correct. It all ties together, and it all goes right back to that messaging, because that's who you are saying. And I was talking to some of my sister coaches one day, and I was working on a landing page for something, and we go back and forth and share stuff or whatever. And one of them said, you know what? She's like, every time I look at your stuff, it just gives me like calm and like relaxed and like ease. And I was like, yes, because that's the vibe I'm going for. So that was like the biggest like compliment to me, because that was exactly the vibe that I was going for. And so it's like, okay, I'm hitting that mark and you're getting what I'm trying to put out there. And that's how your colors and your logo and all of that stuff comes into play. Is just to supplement, is just to further that vibe that you already are putting out there with your messaging and who you are and how you show up. So that, I love that you spoke to that, because like I said, when I see your stuff and I see, Brandon Bestie, I'm like, let's go and have some mimosas and sit here and go over this branding.
Absolutely. And that's the goal. And that's what my clients do. That's what we want to do. It doesn't have to be stuffy. It doesn't have to be intimidating. I take that knowledge that I have and put it to you in a way that makes sense. Sometimes people like to use all the jargon, and they can. But for me, I like to speak plain English to people so you can get it, because everybody doesn't walk in that marketing sphere. Everybody doesn't walk in that communication sphere. And that's okay too. But they need to know what to do to enhance themselves.
And that's the goal. That is just another way that we connect, because that's me. Because I'm like, I could throw these words out here to prove a point to you, but that's not the point. If you're not walking away with the knowledge, the technical words are
That's yeah.
pointless, because a lot of times you even hear people use the words because they've heard the words. And I'm like, that ain't even what that word means.
You don't want to have to go Google it. Like, what did she tell me?
I'm
In the
like,
notes,
that's
you have
not
to.
even what that word means. But that's so beyond the point, I think, because a lot of business owners get frustrated because they go to try to get the knowledge, but the people giving them the knowledge are talking to them as if they're in that field.
Absolutely.
And they get frustrated because they're like, I don't understand. And that's where I'm like, no, we're gonna make it plain. And that's why I'm an analogies girl, because I'm like, okay, what do you do? Okay, let's break this down in an example that makes sense to your industry, because now all of a sudden it makes more sense. If it's, if you do hair, okay, so girl, think about if like, somebody came in there and they didn't have, their actual hair itself was damaged. That's the foundation. You can't then go put a new color on that hair. Think about it like that. That's how simple, you have to break it down sometimes for people to really get it. And that's the goal. And I love that that's a part of how you do business as well, is that people are walking away and getting it.
Yes. If they don't get it, what's the point?
Right.
I didn't help them. What's the point?
Right. Because I want you to walk away a more confident business owner. Because Absolutely. A lot of times it's those little things that make such a big difference in your business, but it's not that people are not doing them because they don't want to. It's just because they don't know. They don't know how, and they don't know why it's important.
Absolutely. And they may not even know what things to put in place, because what I tell people all the time is I may help you here, but you still need a business coach to help you do some of the other things that you need to do with automations and systems, because it all works together. Yes. You can't, I may help you get your messaging out and clarify your message to your audience. And on that, we can do some things, and you might get more clients in, you might get more sponsorship dollars, donations. But in order to keep that going, you're going to have to put some systems in place.
Right. You got it. Now what? Now what to do with it?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I totally agree on that. So another question for you. Okay. What do you think is, or how would you describe how the whole, branding arm comes into play as far as just really working with ease?
So like I said before, I think your branding is your foundation. That's you. You have to do a couple things. You have to identify your target audience. Figure out who that person is. That would be the first thing that I would tell you. What is a dream client? And I'll put it in simple terms. What does your dream client look like? Because we can dream about those things. 2, once you do that, how can you serve them? Niche down. What can you offer them that somebody else can't offer them, and how? And then make it simple. Make it to where you're the only option. And that's done through messaging and consistency. Because once you do those 3 things, like Danielle said earlier, your branding is working for itself. Your clients are coming on their own. You're going to get referrals. All that helps you to turn profit within your business because you've zoned in on who your audience was. Just those 3 simple things will turn your whole business around.
That is so true. I am so glad to have you here and to have you speaking on this topic, because it's one that's near and dear to my heart. And it's so true. Like, people don't realize that, like, when I was shifting my business to go more corporate and leave, I was planning on leaving my job and all this stuff like that. Like, a lot of people were like, oh, well, are you, they thought I was about to sit up here and just pack my books, just try to draw in business as far as, just like booking myself up. The things that I do during my downtime, like when I'm looking at, things and I'm like, okay, I need to get more people in the door. I work on my branding. I work on my systems. Like most people are out there trying to pitch this and pitch that. No, 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 that's not my approach. I make sure that stuff is tight because that stuff brings people in. Just like you said, it just consistently brings people in.
But the other thing is, it's okay. Every client is not for you. So even when you may get a client, but they don't fit your brand, trust me, it's easier to turn that potential client away. It's going to be more of a headache. It's okay to say no. Like, I think people underestimate that. That was something I had to learn when I first started, right? Because you're like, oh, the more clients, the better. The more clients, the better. We've all been there. We've all done that. But is it? Because you got more stress.
No,
you got more stress. That client is on you. I have a friend, she says it like this: they on your yard line, your 1 yard line.
Yes.
when you don't have the right client who trusts you, who trusts with you, who sees your vision, they on your 1 yard line.
You work harder for that client than you do for all the rest.
And most times when you decide to go into business, you do it because you have a passion for it. You do it because you want to spend more time with your family. You do it because for freedom, whatever that freedom looks like for you. So having the wrong client and being on your 1 yard line is not the freedom.
At all. It doesn't give you freedom. It brings you stress. It's like you working for somebody all over again. Like, it's just no positive to it. One of the things that I had to realize, and now I try to tell everybody that I can, saying no is the best form of customer service.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to have to use that.
I'm going to explain it just, for those who may be like, what does she mean? Saying no is the best form of customer service because you set rules, policies, boundaries for a reason. And when you step outside of who your client is, when you step outside of what you have already established is your, process, when you do all of those things, when you say yes, when you were supposed to say no, like you said, that person's on your 1 yard line. They stressing you out, you aggravated, you end up usually spending more time with them than what they paid for. So now you are, you're losing money on this job because you're just the time factor alone with that type of client. Then now you're not your best self for your actual target client. Because now you aggravating. So you in a mood. Now you tired because you was up all night working on this thing for this person, or you were, going back and forth with them via email, whatever it was. So now you're tired. So when your real client shows up, you not you. Because this person then pulled you out of your element. So you're not you. And so I had to learn that, and I had to just say, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore, because I've had situations where, like, I had this one instance where I took this client and I only took her because the venue referred her to me. She was below my minimum order. She was, it was a whole bunch of things that was no. Red flags was already there. Took the order anyway. I go to do the order. The lady, calls me. She's all upset. She's going back and forth, this, that, and the other. And I had the only reason that I took her, 2 reasons. 1, because of the venue, and 2, I had another order in that area about the same time. So I was like, okay, well, I'll accommodate her because I'm already going to be out. Now you dipping into my time with my person who was paying above the minimum, who was a good client, who actually had 2 events that week. So this was their second event from the week. And I'm all aggravated when I show up to this client because I just got off the phone with this crazy conversation with you. And that, for me, I was just like, you know what? Not never again.
Absolutely. You have to set those boundaries, but it goes back to non-negotiable on who your target audience is.
Right. And that's who I'm here for. That's who I'm talking to. That's where my energy is. And so my energy is for them. We like working with each other. It's a wonderful experience. It's totally
Absolutely.
different, because you show up for a job, they're already excited for you to even just walk in the door. You set up, you have fun, they're excited about what you did. They're posting, sharing, giving reviews because y'all in love with each other. That's what branding is. Like
That
when
is.
I explain branding to my clients, I tell them it's matchmaking.
Absolutely.
So y'all love each other, y'all enjoying each other. And then you go back to what you said. You started this because you were passionate about it. So enjoy
Absolutely.
it. It should be enjoyable.
Definitely. You hit it on the nail right there. It is matchmaking. It truly is. Because when you are speaking to your people, they know. They can
Right.
feel it. So
Right.
it's absolutely.
Right. And sometimes you have that, bitter baby mama who just like mad at the work. Look, we're not doing that over here. Look, we're doing happy over here.
Happy.
This is you wasn't invited. Like, I'm sorry that you got here by accident, but guess what? You're not invited to this party because we're not having a pity party. We're having a happy party. So you have to be able to stand in that and know that, a lot of times people looking at it from a financial standpoint, but when the truer you are to your target audience, the more consistent your money becomes.
Oh, of course, because you're speaking right to them. Something Danielle said earlier about me watching me, but I have watched Danielle's branding grow tremendously, and it is amazing. I'm excited to see what motivational tips for business that she is giving. I said to myself, I'm gonna try that. That today, I think she shared, it might not even been today, but I saw it where it said 24-hour no complaining.
That was this morning. Yeah. Well, when this airs, that's going to have been like last month. But yes, that was this morning based on the recording. But yes, yeah. I mean, because sometimes it's not just about the business. It's about, you have to do your lifestyle stuff. You have to deal with your life and your mindset to be an entrepreneur. Like that.
But I always tell people that is part of your branding and part of your business, because people do business with people who they like, trust, and they believe in. So they're not just buying your product of your business coaching services or your balloon services, right? They're buying who you are. So if you're a positive, if you're laid back, if you're non-stressed, non-confrontational, that there is a person out there who is looking for that in a service provider. That's who they want. They're like, wow, she's not complaining. She's leading on do not complain. I can get with that because I'm a glass half full type person, not glass half empty. So I don't want to be complaining, or when I see the stuff on social media and everybody airing out all their negative traits. That's, to me,
right. It's like, all right, I mean, you happy? Like sometimes, like maybe on Thursday, like one of these days, are you happy? Like, can we find something that you're happy about? Like, what is that thing?
Right. And if I never see you, because I'm following, right? I'm engaged. Something about you engaged me, right? And that's what, for all of your audience, something about them engaged them. Whether it wasn't, a tip, right? Or a positive thought. But then they're coming back when they're seeing it, they're seeing what else is out there. Oh man, she's positive. These are these encouragement moments. These are the things, is she funny? Because some people like, man, she is funny. Whatever those are about you, there is an audience out there waiting for that. And that's not somebody else. That analogy with the bread aisle. How many different loaves of bread?
Right. And that was something, I mean, just, truth moment. That was something that I had to, it's kind of funny that I kind of stumbled into both businesses. With the coaching business, I was just like, I mean, they got people out there that's doing that. They got people out there that's teaching that. And I'm a big faith believer. The Lord had to sit me down like about 4-5 times and say, girl,
this is for you.
These people, like every time when I just was like, nah, I don't know. I get an inbox from somebody. And then I sit there, I say, okay, Lord, I hear you. All right, I hear you. But it was just me really understanding that they could have, just like you said with the bread out, they could have 4,000 people doing whatever, but for whatever reason, what you're saying is resonating with these people.
Absolutely.
And they coming in your inbox talking about, hey, such and such, such and such. And I'm like, I know that there's someone else doing this. I know that there's, other people in this field, but I'm like, for whatever reason, you're hearing my voice and that's the voice you need to hear. And so, to everybody out there listening, there is someone that is waiting on you.
Definitely.
There's someone, and, I know everybody don't have the same faith belief. That ain't none of my business. I'm going to just stay in my lane of what I know and what I believe. God has you set up for someone. He has assigned people to you. And until you get out there and speak that message, they're not hearing it. They lost somewhere waiting.
They're waiting for you. You said that earlier. They're waiting for you.
Literally waiting for you. And, when you start to step into it, you will start to see, because you'll start to have those testimonies. You'll start to have those people that are like, hold up, like, like I've been sitting here looking for something, searching for something, and now I know what it is.
But wait, let me share something. That may not be a single person you really know in real life.
No,
and let me tell you,
it could be an absolute stranger.
Absolutely, because you know what? By the time your friends and family see it, other people have already seen it, right? So do not be discouraged if your friends don't see it yet. Don't let
they may not be your people.
They may not be. And
they may not be your people, and that is okay. Like, don't get upset about that. People say, oh, nobody's supporting me. You may not be the thing that they need. They may not be your people, but somebody is out there looking for what you have, but you need to talk to them, because the thing about it is, people are, ain't nobody trying to be nobody's side chick.
Preach.
Your person wants to feel like you're talking to them. When you start all this, everybody, and you start speaking in, casting these wide net, your customers, your ideal customer is sitting there like, I mean, he cute now, but I don't know, because he seemed like he playing the field. But when you come correct and you come focused on your client, that's when they will come back and say, that's when they have that connection, and they're like, nah, this is my person. Like, this is my person. And that, that connection is what makes people be able to swipe that card. Because, people follow a lot of people.
They do. And that's not the conversion you want. You don't want for me, let me tell y'all a secret I tell my clients. I don't need 100,000 followers. I need signed contracts.
Right. Hello. Hello. You can be as popular as all get out, but do that bank account look right?
Right. Because people follow people and they unfollow people. But what's successful, how I measure my success is how many people I got on board, who's coming, who's doing the referrals, where am I getting speaking engagements? Am I getting, those are the things where I could quantify my message is going out and someone's receiving it. And this is what it's yielded, not an imaginary follower count, because that's not helping me get to any of my goals.
No, I mean, that's nice. And and I know I one of my biggest pet peeves is the whole like for like. I'd be like, oh God, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Like you have all of these followers and they're not your ideal client. And then
And
so
then what?
basically you got all these people following you just so you have followers. And then you're messing up the algorithm. I mean, I know the algorithm just change every 14 seconds too. That's a different conversation.
That
But
is that, and we can have that one too, because that one,
you're gonna have to come back for that one because that's a whole
that
podcast in and of itself. But the thing is that you mess all of that up because you just trying to be big, but be accomplished.
absolutely. I had this conversation with a potential client, and I couldn't understand why he was harping on his follower count. And I was like, that doesn't matter. Don't do that. This is where I think you ought to go to serve, how you can expand your message, because that'll come. But that's not the goal. That's not the goal. There are so many people in my DMs now, that I have to just block and be like, do you want to get X amount of followers for X amount of dollars?
Right.
No.
Right. And
Don't
that's
come
the
with all
thing,
this
is
scammy
like,
stuff.
but people will sit there and do that stuff because they're confused about what really matters. It's the connection, it's the quality of that connection, not just that you have followers to say that you have followers. It's just like, I got into well, I'm not gonna call it an argument because I walked away, but this girl got really upset with me on a post once because somebody asked me about pricing. Like they were saying, what do what would you charge for this design or whatever? And so I was like, oh, I would charge this. The original poster was trying to get the information. This other girl was like, well, if you charge that, then I'm sure you probably don't never be booked. I said, booked is not the metric that I'm looking at. Paid is the metric that I'm looking at. So I say I have no desire to be booked in the sense that y'all talk about being booked. I have no desire for that. Like, I want to be able to comfortably run that business, make income, and still be able to enjoy my life.
Absolutely, because her book and your book is different.
Right.
Because if sometimes
I'm not about to do 25 jobs just to make the money that you should be making in one if you charge appropriately. Like, I'm not doing that.
Or if you found your target audience, right?
Right.
Because that's what I said earlier. It's the difference between invoice paid versus, well, I got this and this and this and this and this. You don't need that. You don't need that, because the goal, at least for me, is to have more family time, to be able to have some freedom. So book for me is not booked every Saturday doing something. Book for me is not every Thursday night doing something. That's not it.
Like, no, I don't want that at all. Like, I mean, if I wanted to be like that, I'd have just stayed at the job. Like, I don't want that. The whole point is time freedom for me. The whole point is being able to do something I love and still love it, not being like, oh my God, I'm so worn out from doing this thing. Like, one of the posts I posted, I think last week, said, if you don't have time to rest, you're not charging enough.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just, rest is a part of it. Like, we are human beings. We're not designed to be, quote unquote, on the grind. Like, that is not how we're set up.
Let me say what I say about that. That's so 2021. Like, we leave that.
I love it. I love it.
Leave that grind mentality. Ooh. Yeah, leave that someplace else. Like, we deserve luxury. We deserve rest. We deserve that. That grind culture mentality, where I get where you see it everywhere for businesses, like, you have to do X, Y, Z all the time. And maybe you have some late nights sometimes, but it should not be a constant.
No, that should not be your norm. That should not at all be your norm. We all know we didn't pull the all-nighter. We know what it's like when you're in building stage, because in building stage, you trying to pull all this stuff together. I get that, but that is not how you should function on a regular basis. Like, that's just not normal. Like, it's just, I mean, I've had somebody say one time, if you're not up to accept the inquiry at 3 a.m, somebody else gonna get it. Let them have it. I don't care.
Oh, yeah, because
I like to sleep.
Well, because if you expecting me to be up at 3 a.m, then you're gonna be expecting a whole bunch of things that may not be in the boundaries.
Right. And that's the other thing too, because the importance of those boundaries. I could be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and an inquiry could come in at 3 o'clock in the morning. And guess what? I could answer it at 3 o'clock in the morning, but guess what else? It's not going to get to them until business hours, because I don't even want you to know that I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I don't want you to think that that's an acceptable time to send me an email.
Absolutely.
So when you get your response, it's going to be a delayed response that comes between 9:30 and 3 o'clock. That's when you're going to get it. So that's just it. Like, you have to be able to protect those boundaries as a business owner. That's like so important. So I'm gonna wrap up, because we can sit here and talk all night long. I'm really enjoying this conversation, but I'm going to wrap up because I'm trying to keep it a little shorter. So, So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. These are just my standard podcast questions. That I want to, everybody to share a little bit of, their personality. So first of all, it's Profits in Pajamas.
Yes.
So tell me about your favorite pajamas.
So my favorite pajamas are actually ones that kind of look like this, right?
Okay.
They're these old school traditional button-up pajamas that could look like they were men's at first, but that are tailored. And
I like it.
For fun, I like them with shorts instead of like the pants. So like finding a set that's the long sleeve shirt, but with shorts.
Ah, that's cute. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Okay, so finish the sentence for me. My time freedom allows me to
spend more time with my family.
I love that. And you have a beautiful family. And if you follow Kaela, I love when you share the adventures of Max in London. Like, it's just, they are so stinking cute. Like,
thank you. I have had people that, we grew up together. When we said we go way back, we go back since elementary school.
Elementary school.
I have had another elementary school friend see me at the snowball stand in New Orleans and said, "That's Kaela," because she saw my kids.
Right.
Never met them in real life,
get it.
But saw my kids and was like, "That is Kaela," because those are her kids.
Right. No, totally. I love, like, a lot of people have a lot to say about social media, but I love social media because of the fact that you can see that and you can follow that. So I feel like I have this whole collection of, like, the next generation that I ain't never met before in my life, but I feel like I know everything about them. Like,
and that's, again, your target audience, what social media does for you, right? For me, like you, is a positive thing. I'm not dwelling in the negativity. I don't have all the craziness on my feed, so I don't really see any of that kind of stuff.
No, that's a easy way for me to start, like, unfriending and blocking people. I'm like, I mean, you ain't do me nothing, but I mean, all you bringing is drama and this. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand. You speaking a language I don't understand. Let me just unfollow, because I like to go on there and see what people are cooking, what accomplishments are they making, what are their kids doing? Like, I don't know. I just feel like I just like positive energy in my space. So
absolutely.
I love following your kids. I'm like, okay, well, all right then. Go cheer, play soccer, do all the things.
They do all the they do all the things.
No, I love it. Okay, so what is the best advice that you could give anyone who is seeking a profits in pajamas lifestyle?
That's a great question. So and I really think it is, but I'm going to say it's going to go back to the things that I said earlier, which is number one, identify your target audience. Think about it as your dream clients and identify that person. For me, my dream client, and this is going to sound very cliche, is me, right? Somebody who likes nice things, who's willing to pay for them, not ask for the hookup discounts, whether even if I have to save for it, is I like it, I want it, I think I like that. So that's who my target audience is, right? So do that, niche down. What do you offer them? What can you do to support them? Answer the question that they are looking for, because they are looking for the question. And three, make sure you show up consistently. Wherever you are and whatever that consistency looks like for you, show up and show out, but be your authentic self. Because when you do that, then people feel like they know you, they like you, they trust you, and they want to do business with you. And those
Beautiful,
three things will help you have that profits and pajamas lifestyle.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So just recapping, I'm here with Kaela Lewis, and she is, I never said your business name. She's with Rendevieux Branding,
Mhm.
and I want you guys to go follow her. So before you share how they can follow you, what are you working on right now? I know you're doing some Instagram profile audits. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So right now, we've kind of touched upon it a little bit, but right now, everyone wants to show up as their best selves on social media, especially Instagram, because it is a visual platform. So what I'm doing right now is doing social media Instagram audits, where we go ahead and look at your profile. We go and decide, what does it look like, from your title to your bio to your highlight buttons, and so what are you trying to convey to your message? And so that's something that we're doing for all of anyone who's looking for it. And we found from clients, my team and I, that it has been successful. So we had one client who is a mommy influencer. And so she has started to see some change and growth in her numbers when we just kind of did little minor tweaks, because again, I want you to show up as your true self. So we did minor tweaks to her, things like that were searchable that she didn't realize, as even in your name is searchable function, and made those little tweaks. So if you need help with your Instagram bio to show up as your true self on Instagram, give us a call. There should be a link in the bio below, and you can get in touch with us.
Okay, awesome. Yes, we're going to have a link in that bio below so that you can get in touch with Kaela, and that you can get this Instagram profile audit so you can be all the way together. Because
Yes,
Instagram is on and popping. Everybody's on there, and they're looking for, they're looking for just about everything.
everything.
So make sure that you have that on lock. If if they want to get connected with you or follow you, what is the best way that they can follow you and get their own branding bestie?
Well, if you are on Instagram and Facebook, you can follow at Rendevieux. That's Rendevieux. So on Facebook and Instagram at Rendevieux. You can also follow us on Pinterest at Your Branding Bestie. So you can follow us on Pinterest there. And then you can follow me on LinkedIn at Kaela Barnett Lewis.
Okay, awesome, awesome. If y'all are not following Kaela, I need you to go ahead and follow her. I love her content. There are a lot of people that I, follow on Instagram, follow on Facebook, but there's only so many that I'm like looking for their content all of the time. Like, I'm excited to see their content, and Kaela is definitely one of those people. So
Thank you,
I,
thank you, thank you.
look, I reach out to the people that resonate with me. because I want my audience to know awesome people. I know a lot of awesome people, and I want my audience to know the same type of awesome people. So I do take it very seriously when I am thinking about somebody being on any of the platforms that I'm on, because I'm like, I don't, I got trust issues. I don't want to bring nobody on here that that's not my people.
Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. This was great conversation. We came, showed up, showed out, and stayed a little bit longer than expected.
Right. Look, when we're in the zone, we got to keep giving it to you. We're not gonna cut back just because of what the clock says. We want to make sure you get all of the gems, all of the jewels. So I appreciate you being here. Again, I'm Coach Danny D with Workflow. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram or on Facebook. You can, if you want to join one of my programs, you can go to coachdannyd.com and get more information about the programs that I'm running. And, just keep following. Every Wednesday, we're going to have a new episode of the Profits in Pajamas podcast. Always, just dropping gems about having that lifestyle of working with ease. So thanks again, Kaela, for being here. And I will talk to you guys soon.
Okay. Bye. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with ease. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram. For more information about building your luxury brand, register for my upcoming luxury brand workshop at coachdannyd.com.